Welcome back to Carver Arena in downtown Peoria, the site of the original March Madness. It's the Class A quarterfinals today. Game 2, Westmont from suburban Chicago, Columbia from just outside St. Louis. We are standing by for live basketball here. Game number 2, Pinckneyville's already in. The Panthers eliminate Prairie Central, and they await the winner of this intriguing matchup, which includes one of the best players in the state, in Pierre Pierce. Let's go courtside now to the gentleman who will be calling this afternoon's game between Westmont and Columbia, Jim Albrecht, and a man back in his old stomping grounds from Peoria, Doug Altenberger. Guys?
Thank you very much, Kurt. I am Jim Albrecht, and of course, former Illini guard Doug Altenberger is with me as well as we get set for Game 2 of the quarterfinals. One team unheralded, but watch out for them. The other team, much heralded, rated number 3 in the state. That would be Westmont, but we start first with Columbia, who has had to come behind twice in the sectional and the super sectional to get here, and they've done it coming back from double-digit figures.
Well, they're a team that will not be intimidated. They've been exposed to a lot. Touche knows that. They won't be intimidated with one of the best players on the floor today, Pierre Pierce.
If you want to see a kid with intensity, you're going to have to check out the guard from Columbia. His name is Reed Jones, and I mean, he comes with everything he has.
And the road to Peoria for Westmont, on the other hand, they are a team that struggled against moments, and they will need to play better, because if they don't, they won't advance today. He knows that, Coach Ettridge.
Right you are, and I was talking about Reed Jones, of course, the guard who lights it up at 16 points a game for Columbia, and I look for big things from him because, as his coach says, he has the kind of intensity you cannot teach. He just brings it to the gym.
Well, he's a guy that can shoot the three, 35% from the field, but what his strength is, he moves well without the basketball. And when he is scoring, this team can compete with anybody in the state.
And of course, he gets it into the big man, Mr. Miller, but we'll talk about him later. Everybody in the state knows about the guy we're about to see next, Pierre Pierce. Everybody, including Iowa coach Steve Alford, who recruited him to go to Iowa. This guy's the real deal.
Well, when you look at him, you think of 35 points a game. You think of a one-dimensional player. He's not. He leads the team in assists, over 5 a game. And then you say, well, he plays point guard. Well, he leads the team in rebounding. There will not be a better guard in the state that we see today than Pierre Pierce. He's a complete basketball player.
And he is the point guard, so it's hard to defend him. They've tried every defense they can. Now, as far as the keys to the game, well, when you start with Columbia, you got to control a little tempo in Mr. Pierce. You know, he averages 35, and 35 is where you want to keep him.
Well, you can't stop and contain him, like you said, Jim. The other thing is you got to get the ball inside to Miller and limit their turnovers. Handle Westmont's pressure.
Now, if you're Westmont, well, you want to run until the sun goes down, and they'll give that a shot right off the bat.
Yeah, they're going to try to extend the defense, play up-tempo, but when they get Stedman involved, it's another added addition for them offensively.
Yeah, Stedman comes in averaging 16 points a game as well, so he can get it done. Now, as far as what you'll see throughout this day, besides great basketball, is the history of basketball in Illinois. As we take a look at some vignettes over the past 50 years, it's good to go back. It reminds me of being in 7th grade, watching the Cobden Apple Knockers and all those things, because that's what this tournament is all about, history.
Well, and you're exactly right, and that's what makes March Madness in the state of Illinois so special. You look back, all the special happenings and everything going on. You're going to Hebron, you think of Peoria winning the first state title ever, so that's what makes this tournament so special.
Will Pierre Pierce light this place up? A lot of people think he will. Columbia's got other ideas. We are coming up here in just a few minutes with our second quarterfinal game. Of course, if you just tuned in, Pinckneyville ran away in the first game, so it's down to the final 7. And Doug, the first few minutes of these quarterfinal games are just crucial, because if you stub your toe, you got a mountain to climb.
Well, I think it's important that you come out and you have a lot of energy, but play with efficiency. Know what's going on out there. There's a lot of excitement. That's where the coaches look at them and say, hey guys, we've been preparing for this since this summer. Everybody go out there, take it one step at a time, and those are old sayings that you like to say, but when you come in here, I know I've been in the quarterfinals, I wasn't that successful, we got beat, but you got to come out and play your game and just try to relax as much as you can, even though it's very difficult.
And one thing that Columbia has going for them is they are a very calm team. They get behind, they don't panic. They've never, ever panicked. Of course, the tale of the two cities, as you can see right there, we've got a new town compared to Columbia. Westmont's only been around for about 80 years.
Well, when you look at Westmont, I think one of the sayings is it's in the city, but it plays disciplined basketball. Columbia, on the other hand, they're coming in and they've got their hands full. They're going to go against two guys for Westmont that are excellent basketball players. So Columbia has got their hands full. Westmont needs to come, like you said, Jim, really establish the tempo, use their speed and quickness tonight.
And of course, if you like points being scored, hey, both these teams average right around 70 points a game. Westmont, of course, making their third appearance. They have never won a quarterfinal game. And to Columbia, this is all brand new, and that's why those first 5 minutes are important.
Well, that's right. And if they can establish their inside game and relax and settle down and get the ball inside, then I think they'll have a lot of success and they'll be able to compete with Westmont.
Well, Doug, I know you love the game of basketball. You love people who stand out. We have several standouts, but it's still a team game, and the team that plays like it will pull this one out.
Yeah, that's what makes this tournament so special. It's the guys who step up. There you see the stats, but when you're playing games like this, you can forget about all those numbers. It's heart and desire. The team that wants it the most. Usually defense wins these things, and that's what probably win the state champion.
Amen to that. The fans are getting pretty pumped up here. Of course, the PA announcer is standing by for today's starting lineups. Let's go there.
Good afternoon, basketball fans. On behalf of the Illinois High School Association of the City of Peoria, welcome to America's original March Madness. This quarterfinal game in Carver Arena features the Columbia Eagles, 27-6, and the Westmont Sentinels, 27-3. Let's meet the teams for this game. For Columbia, a 5'10 junior, number 10, Scott Harris. A 5'9 sophomore, number 20, Griffin Gibbs. A 5'9 sophomore, number 22, Jim Likens. A 5'11 sophomore, number 24, Scott Sandage. A 6'2 junior, number 30, Andy Galley. A 6'3 senior, number 40, Adam Deffenbaugh. A 6'4 junior, number 44, Keith Jackson. A 6'3 senior, number 50, Thomas Mann. And a 6-foot junior, number 54, Joe McBroom. For the Sentinels of Westmont, a 6'2 senior, number 10, Thomas Frawley. A 6'2 senior, number 11, Michael Del Preto. A 5'10 senior, number 20, Nick Laromatis. 5'8 junior, number 23, Matt Forsley. A 6'2 junior, number 30, Steve Larson. 5'11 junior, number 32, Brian Mizuki. 6'4 senior, number 33, Adam Hardy. A 6'2 senior, number 44, Tony Jed. A 6-foot junior, number 50, Matt Wenning. And a 6'6 junior, number 52, Tonio Narum. And now let's meet the starting lineups. At a forward for Columbia, a 6'3 senior, number 32, Eric Steckmesser. At a forward for Westmont, a 6'3 senior, number 21, Brandon Stedman. The other forward for the Eagles, a 6'3 junior, number 34, Neil Rieken. The other forward for the Sentinels, number 31, 6'2 senior, Brett Ladazinski. At center for Columbia, 6'8 senior, number 52, Brent Miller. At center for Westmont, a 6'5 senior, number 42, Jody Urbis. The guards for the Eagles, a 6'2 senior, number 12, Reed Jones. At a guard for Westmont, a 6'4 senior, number 3, Pierre Pierce. The other guard for Columbia, a 6'1 senior, number 14, John Galley. The other guard for the Sentinels, a 5'9 senior, number 5, Jason Vervac. Assistant coaches for Columbia, John Blair, and Tim Keefe. Head coach for Columbia in his 4th season where he's 90-35, David Touche. And for Westmont, the assistant coaches, Mike Filippini, Ron Gunter, and Brian Waterman. In his 2nd year of coaching at Westmont, where he's 55-5, Craig Etheridge. No other state in America can claim the rich history and tradition has been generated by March Madness in Illinois. March Madness is an IHSA thing. It always has been and it always will be. Fans of original March Madness, direct your attention to the arena floor for the game officials for this contest. From Watseka, Kevin Kokenauer. From Chatsworth, Richard Hornickel. And from Chenoa, Brian Schomburg. Presenting the game ball for this quarterfinal contest, Bob Hewitt, the director of the YMCA, one of this year's sponsors for the fabulous March Madness experience. All of us here in the Peoria Civic Center thank YMCA for its continuing support of greatest high school single event in the land. Let's play ball.
There's your starting lineups as you heard them announced. Keep an eye on Reed Jones, of course, and Brent Miller. It looks like Mueller, but it's Miller. He's the big man in the middle. His career shooting percentage is 67%. You know all about Pierre Pierce by now if you're a basketball fan. 35 points a game. Don't forget about Stedman at about 15 a game, and this house is ready to rock. Here we go. Tip is controlled by Columbia. Against the zone, trying to get it into Miller. That's where he wants it. Quick hands and a great steal by Pierre Pierce. That should have been 2. There's Pierce. Has advertised.
Well, that's what we talked about. Jim, ball goes inside. Miller puts it on the floor. Too much quickness for Westmont. They get the ball, and Pierre Pierce finishes off very quickly down at the other end.
John Galley back out to Reed Jones, and they're just going to go around the perimeter and try to work it down to the 6'8" Miller. Man wide open is Steckmesser. In and out and in again.
That almost went up and down. It almost went in twice. Good patience by Columbia.
At the other end, it's up and in by Jason Burback. Now, Burback's not a scorer per se, at about 9 per game, but don't leave him open.
A good job by Westmont pushing that ball up the floor, getting back on defense. We talked about limiting their turnovers right there. A careless one, but got to get back defensively. Westmont really likes to push that basketball, Jim.
That pass a little too low for Reed Jones's hands. Of course, Reed Jones is the only player in Columbia Eagles school history to not only score 2,000 points in the basketball court, but rush for over 2,000 yards on the football field. I wonder if he takes the season off.
Well, he looks like a great athlete. You can tell he can play any sport he wants to.
Ladizinski misfires. He won't shoot that much. That time he did. There's that skip pass. With the ball is Neil Rieken. Rieken, one of that balanced shooters, and that's why Rieken came in averaging 10 points a game. He's not afraid to put it up. You got 4 people in double figures on this basketball team, and here's Pierce from way outside. Nope. And there's the steal by Pierce. And the drive by Pierce and the nice dish. And of course, that shows what kind of basketball player he is. Just that one series right there. He misses the 3, forgets about it, goes for the steal.
Well, we talked about taking care of the basketball. See Pierce with great anticipation, sneaks up the sidelines, able to get the turnover, then puts pressure on you, gets to the foul line almost. And
Bierback, no. Pierce, yes.
And that's what you expect to see. You'll be hearing his name throughout the game. The guy just does everything out there. There with a nice offensive rebound.
The Columbia Eagles from the Cahokia Conference get a man open on the baseline, and John Galley makes him pay.
Now Columbia really coming out very patient on offense, rotating that basketball, reversing it, and they've had 3 or 4 good looks here in the first half, settling down nicely offensively.
Just joining us, Pinckneyville destroyed Prairie Central 71-44 to get in. Movement along the baseline. Ladizinski lost control, but it's still in the hands of the Sentinels. Pierce stands 6'4", his season high, in case you're curious, 52 points. been in the 40s on numerous occasions. Stedman, who was injured earlier in the year, an ankle injury, pulls up, doesn't get that one. Stedman missed 10 games, and he's come back and had a huge impact for the Sentinels of Westmont, who come in at 27-3 into this quarterfinal game. Trying to surround Miller. Out front it goes to Steckmesser.
Good look by Miller. Pierce comes over, tries to get the steal. He picks him up, hits the open man.
Columbia started the season slowly. Of course, they were supposed to be one of the highly ranked teams. Biervac not close. Columbia with the rebound in the hands of Steckmesser.
Yeah, Westmont right now, 2 questionable shot selections there. Want to take their time, let Pierce operate, let him do his damage, then feed off him when he penetrates.
Columbia up by 2, looking for even more. It looked like he wanted that shot, but fought better of it. Galley on the drive, yeah.
Again, Galley, everybody's worrying about the big guy inside. Miller, good recognition, takes it to the hole.
Nice dish by Stedman to Biervac, and that's an easy 2, and that's what penetration's all about.
Well, that's what Westmont has. They have that penetration, quickness. When they shoot that outside shot, they let Columbia off the hook defensively.
Halfway through the first quarter, in a nip-and-tuck quarterfinal game, Jones, nope. Rebound, though, comes down in the hands of Rican, who kicks it back out, firing it up. Again, this one is not good by Steckmesser. Well, they had their opportunities. Pierce in the open floor off the glass. That's pretty.
Boy, they really pushed the ball very quick. Even off a missed basket, they can really move it. Got to get down defensively. Got to know where your man is. Got to communicate.
There's a nice dish inside. Steckmesser got it off the feed from Reed Jones. Columbia takes back the lead. That's his shot. Stedman nails it.
But both teams offensively very aggressive and assertive, and that's what you want to do as your coach. Do you want them to come out real timid? These guys really feel it offensively.
Steckmesser doesn't get what he wants that time. It'll head out of bounds with the game tied at 12. We have a timeout on the floor. The Country Companies, insurance company, and financial services, of course, are part of this broadcast. Real people, real answers, and real quick. And, of course, we are being brought to you by the Midwest Dairy Association on behalf of your local dairy farmers. The power of cheese.
In an emergency, only Country Insurance gives you immediate advice from a claims authority. Country Insurance. Real people, real answers, real quick.
Dives on it like it was a loose $10 bill.
All right, at the line is Jack Darlington with a 1-and-1. He makes the first one, so he gets the bonus shot. 47-41.
Do not adjust your set. That's just the way TV looked back in those days. What do you think about those shorts?
Well, what about
shorts?
those free throws? They made 2 in a row. You don't see that much anymore.
Yeah, times have changed, haven't they?
They sure have.
You didn't see a lot of dunks back then, but you didn't see a lot of people shooting 62% from the free throw line either. And of course, Doug Altenberger, my color analyst today, knows a lot about free throws. Had a great career at the line at Illinois. Shot 90% one year, didn't you?
Yeah, snuck it in there.
Did you close your eyes or anything? Down along the baseline, Stedman travels. He got himself turned around. Follow all the preliminary rounds in your favorite sport by logging on to IHSA.org. It's all right here. Bringing it up is Reed Jones. Game tied at 12. Glad you're along. We got a lot of basketball all weekend long. 2 more quarterfinal games tonight on the IHSA TV network.
Let's see how Westmont does with the zone. Defensively, weren't very effective here to get a turnover.
Biervac picks it away. Rican could not control it, and now Westmont does. Here, Pierce, the All-Stater.
Well, anytime you cannot allow him to have any separation. Once he does, Pierce will knock down that three. Then it gets the ball inside nicely. Miller, the big man, not able to finish it off.
Couldn't follow. Pierce now has 9 early in this game. Vervac wants to drive. He gets it over to Stedman, and that's the way it's done.
Well, Stedman really operating inside. Good putback.
This is when you want to slow Westmont down, and they don't do it because Pierce has the pick in the open floor. Look out, and he's fouled. Now, some people might say Pierce should have kicked it back to the trailer, but we're talking about Pierre Pierce here who can finish. He can definitely finish.
Again, it's turnovers. That's what Westmont wants to force, and that's what they're going to try to do. Here you see they do force another one. Pierce goes up strong. Showtime, gets hit in the eye. Isn't able to finish that off, gets to the free throw line. But you know, he's a guy that we talk a triple threat. He can pass, he can shoot, and he can drive. And you know, you could say, well, let's not get him the basketball. Let's try to deny him the basketball. If you're Touche, you know, try to defend it. But he's a guy that plays points, so he's going to walk the ball down the court. I mean, offensively, he really doesn't have any weaknesses.
And right now, of course, Dick Korn, the coach of Picnickville, is probably thinking to himself, if I've got to form some kind of defensive plan on this guy, I'm not going to get any sleep tonight. Well, we'll see how this comes out. A long way to go. Pierre Pierce, a 71% free throw shooter, nails both of those. His team has their biggest lead. And Reed Jones is off the mark early here in the first quarter. Look at Pierce run behind the back. Vervac, Stedman hits a 15-footer, and it's good. All set up by Pierce. And a timeout on the floor as Columbia wants to talk it over. You'll see why Pierre Pierce is going to Iowa, because he can do it all. They say he might be able to start right away, but that's up to Steve Alford, the head coach. Here he goes.
Yeah, well, here we talked about him. He delivers the behind-the-back pass. Good rotation. We talked about Stedman in the open. He's a guy offensively. When he can get on track, he adds another dimension offensively to this team. And you see how he comes up. He's looking up court. He knows exactly what he's doing the whole time. And then you see some of his numbers offensively. I mean, 9 games over 40 points, 1 game over 50. But what I love about his game is his ability to pass and rebound, not only just scoring.
And of course, Stedman, who buried that last baseline jumper, had 26 points in the regional finals. So it's not all Pierre Pierce. When he wants to, he can dish it off, and he's got some help out there. Columbia needs to get it into that man right there, Miller, and that's why they've got to go inside if they can.
Well, when they do get the ball inside, everything sort of slows down. It puts Westmont much more on the defense than on the offense.
Vervac way outside. A 3 for the little guy, 5'9", 140 senior. He's lighting it up in the first half here.
He says Pierce and Stedman are getting into it. I want to get into the act. He hit that from the parking lot.
And that is a 10-point bulge for the Sentinels. Again, we remind you, this Columbia team in blue has trailed by double digits in the last 2 games, but come back. This jumper won't fall for Steckmester. Here's the rebound by Miller, and that is muscle. Works well underneath the hoop, and I mean underneath.
Yeah, not much Westmont can do. They tried to block him out, but at 6'8", 220 pounds, it's hard to push him out, and he shows a lot of heart and stays with it.
Pierce leads the way with 11, but he's got help. Vervac was 7. Stedman was 6. And as time winds down here in the first quarter, Westmont head coach Craig Etheridge, who has lost all of 5 games in the last 2 years, he's 55-5, says, I think we'll wait and give it to Pierre with about 7 seconds to go. But no, they run a play along the baseline for Vervac. That's not there. Rebound Columbia, and that's the way the first quarter will come to a close. Westmont with plenty of ammunition, leading Columbia 24-16. We'll be back after these local messages.
Now they switch him around. Don Berger, who's only 6'2", a little more of a match. Comes in, that's McMahon with the ball, goes underneath, and as he tries to get to the basket, he is hit by Dennis Pace, and that's 4. 4 personal fouls for Dennis Pace. 1 more, and he has left the ball game.
Jack Dries, man, there's a name that takes you back a little bit. And of course, when you look at the bodies on the players early on in the history of this tournament, you didn't see weight room written all over them. I mean, they were in good shape and they ran up and down, but that was before the coaches got the idea that muscle wins as well.
It wasn't too long ago that weight training became sort of a premium, and they knew how important it is, especially at the high school level. And everything's sort of been pushed up and excelled, and these kids are a lot bigger and stronger and quicker than they were 20 years ago.
Westmont will have possession here as we begin the second quarter. Westmont leading 24-16 in this second quarterfinal game against Columbia. Now Columbia holds their opponents to an average of 53 points a game, and that's not going to be easy to do with Pierre Pierce in the lineup, although he misfires that time. There's every angle that he discovers.
Yeah, like you said, just try to slow him down, and so far they haven't been able to do that.
What Columbia really needs to do as they get fouled there, John Galley with the drive, is get Reed Jones into the ball game, because he's had a slow start, and believe me, nobody plays with more intensity than the man who will inbound here, Reed Jones. His season high was 35 points, so he can light it up as well. Into Miller, and another foul, this one on Stedman. Westmont, of course, has all that Chicago competition they go against, being in the Chicago suburbs, and Columbia down along the Mississippi River, and of course trying to fight for a title for the southern part of the state. You know, Illinois is one single entity, but if you listen to basketball coaches, it's like, no, there's the south and the north. There's the jumper, no. Good rebound by Galley, had it taken away, got it back, and fouled.
There is an example of Columbia really being able to use their strength and size on the offensive boards, overpowering Westmont, but then Westmont counteracts with that quick turnover, trying to force the turnovers. So you see the two contrasting styles.
That's where they want the ball. That's touch. That is just touch. A 67%, not free throw shooter, folks. Field goal. Pierce the other way. That's way short. So Miller's getting warmed up, and Columbia's coming back, trailing by 6. Scott Harris into the ball game for Westmont. There's a batted pass out of bounds by Pierce. Scott Harris wearing number 10 in there.
What you want to do, don't pick up that ball in the corner. That's no man's land, and there was nowhere for him to go, and lucky he didn't get a turnover.
A long jumper. There's Reed Jones. Reed Jones gets himself started and gets his team right back in the game. It's 24-21. Westmont with the lead right now. And of course, this is a sold-out tournament. You can see why with some of those fans, some of the 11,700 people who bought tickets for this quarterfinal round. And a lot of people from Pinckneyville are sticking around to see whether they're going to play Westmont or Columbia in the first semifinal tomorrow. Don't forget, we got Pana and Farmington tonight. Now, how tall are you, Doug?
6'4".
You're not going to make it on Farmington's team. These guys are tall, the tallest Class A team I've ever seen. Of course, Westmont has had a pretty good year.
And I think that you talked about Stedman going down with the ankle injury. Since he's been back, you see his numbers. And you know, he's such a plus for him because it takes a little pressure off of Pierce.
And of course, if they wanted a new nickname for Columbia besides the Eagles, they would go with the Road Warriors. This team only played 7 home games this year because they played so many tournament games. They had to give up a couple of home games. I've never heard of a team playing only 7 times in its own gym. Stedman, nice drive, in and out. Miller lost the handle, back up and not there. And we'll have a foul. We'll have a foul on the play. Jody Urbis had a golden opportunity to put that thing in. Had a great look, but just couldn't get it to fall.
Yeah, one of the few times that Westmont's able to get to the boards. Here you see the long rebound, comes back to seal it off. Urbis called for the foul.
Pierce from way outside.
Oh, man. McMahon was at downtown.
You like the elevation?
Oh, everything.
27-21 after the three. Miller dealing underneath. It won't go. Rebound, though, by Steckmesser. They'll crank it out. Jones can't get it. Rebound back up and not there. Not there by Rican, and that's the kind of opportunities that Columbia does not want to misfire on. When you get 3 or 4 chances, you got to convert.
Exactly. They had a point-blank range. 2 of them not able to put it back in there. Jones with the long three-pointer, but you got to keep going at pounding on it. The other hand, hopefully they can just slow down Pierce. Pierce with a great 3 on the other end. Oh.
What Pierce is a run killer. We saw that Columbia had reeled off 5 straight points, climbed back in, so Pierce says it's time for me to take over, and the three-pointer is his exclamation point. This Stedman works well down along the baseline. Ball knocked away. It's loose. Columbia has it. And what's the call? We'll have a jump ball. Let's see where the arrow is pointing. Columbia is going to call a timeout to talk it over here with 5:51 remaining in the first half. The Eagles trail by 6.
Well, so far, it's been the runs of Westmont. Pierce has been able to explode offensively, gives them the 6-point lead so far. But Columbia still, it seems like they can play at a certain pace. Once they try to go up a couple paces, right, Jim, that's when they get in trouble. That's when they turn the ball over.
As I was mentioning before, we've got tonight's second round of quarterfinals. Pana versus Farmington. And then Macomb, of course, which knocked off the #1 team in the state, Pleasant Plains, in the super sectional to open this thing wide up, will take on Manlius Bureau Valley. There's a young man who's got a basketball mind and a basketball body on that Bureau Valley team. His name is Slock, and I want you to tune in and watch him because he's worth your time. There's that roadies I was talking about.
That's a tough road trip. I mean, that's like a month and a half continuous road trip.
Long jumper by Rican. They could use it. They don't get it, but Jones with good position will crank it back up for Columbia. Driving baseline, shut off there nicely. That was good defense by Urbis, and he created a turnover. But Miller comes back, picks it up, saves it in bounds. They better slow it down, and they do. Scott Harris into the ball game at point for Columbia, wearing number 10. That's him with the basketball right now. Perfect pass to Miller.
Well, right now, Westmont can't stop Miller. I mean, he's very active, looking for the ball. Just got to be patient offensively.
4-point ball game again. The young men in white have the lead, but now a turnover the other way. Steckmesser trying to finish, does not, and he is fouled. He'll go to the free throw line. Coast to coast for the senior. Now on this Columbia team, 3 seniors have compiled 88 wins over the last 3 years. You kind of get used to winning, don't you, Doug? I mean, that's what it's all about. Any program has to establish not just a good season, but a tradition of winning.
Well, a lot of these kids are hooked up 6th, 7th grade. They form a bond, and they know that something special is happening. And these guys know it, and they've put on an unbelievable record the last couple years. And they come in today, I mean, like we talked about, they're not intimidated by Westmont, the big guys from the city.
Steckmesser, who is a 75% free throw shooter, shows you why, burying both of those, getting his team back to within 2. You're watching the quarterfinals on the IHSA TV network. Well, the shooting percentage is just about even. Westmont 11 of 21. Right now, Columbia is 11 of 23. There's a lot of facts about Mr. Pierce. There's number 2.
Yeah, and when you look down the number of scoring games, 29. I mean, those aren't 25, 21. Those are like 35, 45, 52. I mean, there's some huge numbers.
They're looking along the baseline for that man.
We talked about him hitting those threes from long range. There you see he's posting up in the paint area. So I mean, he can post up with the big boys just as easy as hitting the 3.
That's the 5th team foul on Columbia. The out of bounds play doesn't work as they'd like it to, so they'll just start out front and go right back to Pierce. Spin and not get the roll. And over the back is Brett Letazinski.
Reese Jones with a good block out there. Reed was did a good job of getting to the weak side and taking on 2 of the guys from Westmont. That's what you need. Even though your game isn't going offensively, don't worry about it. Don't let you hurt you defensively.
As I mentioned before, Columbia fell behind big time, 14 points in the super sectional final, or I should say the sectional final, against Breeze Mater Dei. Came back and won, and then fell behind by 10, and now here's Miller. And did he step on the end line, or was he forced out? The latter. And Mr. Ladizinski picks up his second quick foul.
Well, that's what Westmont wants to do. Once the ball goes inside to Miller, you got to collapse defensively. Did a nice job, but you can't push the guy out of bounds. And when that ball goes to the big guy, number 52 in the blue, everybody in the white should try to collapse on him.
Westmont has not scored in the last 2 minutes. Stop the presses. That's a headline. Harris. Oh, my. Harris only made 11 threes all season. He just buried one here in the quarterfinals.
And Columbia up by 1.
Pierce from way outside.
Oh, that's such a tough shot. I mean, that's what you want your leader to do, to step up, take the tough shot, and he just nails it, puts him back on top.
Pierce with half his average already. He's got 17. Miller, that's what he's great at, kicking it back out to Jones. Jones got it. Reed hasn't had his outside shot, so he took it inside.
Well, both teams making plays on each end of the floor.
Ooh, almost a travel there by T.J. Frawley. Frawley wearing number 10. He spots one of the other guards. Although Vervac is in there, they basically have 3 guards in there right now. Hanging along the baseline is All-Stater Pierre Pierce.
It's like a human highlight film right now. Everything's going in.
Miller with a strong move to the glass. Not only can he shoot well, he's the school leader in rebounds. He's had over 800 in his career.
He's sort of like a quiet giant out there. Doesn't say much, but once the ball goes in, he knows how to take care of business.
He leads by example. Stedman has been quiet in the second quarter after a good start in the first 8 minutes. How would you like to draw the defensive assignment on Pierce? That's what Neil Reekin is trying to do right now, and it's not easy.
That's when the coach says, well, you've got number 3. You mean me? You sure about that, coach?
Yeah, you do one of those Robert De Niro things. You talking to me? Somebody's got to do it. They try to get it. If they get an inbounds pass anywhere close to the basket to Pierce, that's trouble. So you try to shut that line off. Try to make it go out front again. Look at Pierce. We got a little action without the ball in play here.
It's good to see a guy get a little physical out there. He's going to need that when he gets to the next level.
Frawley inbounds. Tied at 32s with 2:35 remaining, and in and out is Pierce, but Stedman's right there to put it back. It's almost like an offensive play for them.
Yeah, when Stedman went all the way in, Pierce went all the way in and out, and then Stedman with a good putback. Tough combination, those two guys.
Jones from way out, nope. Rebound comes down to Jody Arbus. Uh-oh. This looks like trouble. Look at that shot, but way off the mark. Rebound by Columbia, but I think they kicked it out. They did. And that was all because Jody Arbus he just stayed with it for Westmont.
A good hustle. You know, got in that area where the ball comes down.
There you see 3 of the gentlemen with the hardest job in America. I don't care what you say. It's not an easy job, especially with athletes like this, like Pierre Pierce. I mean, all that movement and all that contact.
Well, both teams really playing well, and those are the easy games to do when each team's allowing the game to come to them instead of trying to force it.
T.J. Frawley tried to force things and all he got for his efforts was a jump ball, and the arrow points to the Blues, so Columbia will come down with a chance to tie it. And if somebody buys a 3, well, they'll have the lead with under 2 minutes left to go in the first half. The winner of this one faces Pinckneyville in the first semifinal game tomorrow. You can watch it right here on the IHSA TV network. Is he going to hit another one? Yes! Harris has 2 threes. Holy Harris, the junior, has 2 threes. He came in averaging 3 points a game. He's got 6 here.
Well, it took him for a while to recognize he was wide open, and everybody else realized, and they rushed at him. It was too late.
Look at that pass. Will Vervac turn it into assist? No, he does not. And it goes over the backboard. So Columbia, on the strength of their sub-junior, Scott Harris, and his 2 3-pointers, is coming down with a lead in the basketball.
Well, Columbia's got to feel pretty good about themselves. They've taken a tremendous blow from Pierce. 19 points so far here in the first half, and they're able to stay with them.
You can just see it on their faces, Doug. They feel it. They say, okay, we don't care if it's the number 3 rated team in the state. We're here to play basketball. Driving is Rican. Look at that move. It's all about confidence. Will Pierce hit it? Oh, yeah.
Right on cue. I mean, he's just amazing basketball. I mean, he's playing at such a different level than the rest of these 9 guys.
You know, Doug, you used to be my favorite to watch, but you're now in second place.
That's okay. He's pretty darn good. This guy is amazing.
Down low it goes. Steckmesser is going to be called for the charge.
That was a tough call. I think right now Steve Alford might be calling him, Pierre Pierce, to come on up. He might need him this weekend.
Yeah, that Big Ten tournament, of course.
Ball goes inside, goes up straight up. Columbia was looking for the call from behind, but they get the charge. Good positioning by Westmont. Lowers his shoulder, and that's why he gets called for the foul.
We've got 76 points in this first half already, but that's not close to the record. That was 98 points in 1993, Cairo versus Hamilton. It was 49-49 at the break.
Well, right now, you know who's going to take the last shot, or at least start the offense, is this guy right here. Want to throw two blue jerseys at him, make him try to cough it up.
There it is. There it is, not there, and it's out of bounds with 1.4 seconds on the clock. Well, that's the way you want to go, and let's see if they can get it up to half court and get a good old 40-footer on the way. Inbounding will be Rican. Miller, if you're wondering, is standing at half court. And they're just going to lob it all the way down. It's intercepted by Vervac, and we are tied at the end of the half. Columbia has come back from a 10-point deficit and tied the number 3 team in the state, Westmont, at 37s. Now, when you look at Pierre Pierce play, I know you played against and with a lot of great players, Doug. Does he remind you of anybody?
Not really. Not anybody like in high school.
Let's go to our courtside reporter, Kurt Pegler. Kurt, it's all yours.
All right, Jim, Coach Duche's with us. I tell you what, that pace was fast and furious up and down the floor. You said yesterday you're not interested in slowing things down to equalize Mr. Pierce, but instead you're going to go right with him, tooth and nail.
Well, that's, you know, our style is transition basketball. We did a pretty good job on offense, taking care of the ball. We still had a couple turnovers that we didn't need. Their other 4 players really stepped up there in the first quarter. And it was really, you know, our kids did a good job of staying in it and battling.
Is this pace okay for you guys?
We don't mind it for right now. We don't mind it for right now, and you know we may shift some things up later in the second half, but we're in it.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Coach. Right. Appreciate it. We are tied at halftime, 37-37. Wow, what a first half, Jim.
Not 1, but 2 Navy 4-star admirals from their hometown, and now they're going to try to sink Pierre Pierce in Westmont. We shall see. 37-37. We're back after these local messages.
Halftime of the second state quarterfinal here at the Class A Boys Basketball Championships. Westmont and Columbia tied at 37. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Carver Arena. Kurt Pegler along with somebody who's been very instrumental in helping plan the March Madness experience, Vernette House-Browning, who's been on the committee for a couple of years. When we talk about March Madness experience, we're talking about next door. We've got the exhibition hall, which is filled with all kinds of goodies for the fans and the players alike this weekend, right?
Yes, it is such a great event. There are all types of interactive basketball games, fun activities for the kids and for the whole family. And this year, we actually for the second year, we have what's called Access the Experience, where we make that opportunity available for children who are disabled.
That's a neat thing, and certainly the people in Peoria have embraced this event and really turned it into more than just a basketball tournament.
You know, it really is, and there's such a strong tradition of basketball here in Peoria, and it's really a weekend event, and we do such a first-class job here. It's my third year serving on this committee, and I'm just really overwhelmed by all the support from the community and the volunteers. We want to put on a really first-rate event for the fans that are coming here and for the players.
We usually hear from families sometimes who say they spend more time in the exhibition hall taking a look at the exhibits and the interactive games than they do in the arena.
Yeah, you know, especially if you have young children. Well, actually young and old alike. If you like to play basketball, you can go out there and there's all kinds of activities, slam dunks and free throw contests, lots of basketball fun events.
Now, you've mentioned that the community has embraced this event. You've been on the committee for a couple of years. They're really taking pride in making this the event to see in the springtime, aren't they?
You know, they really are, and you know, we had it for 5 years, and then we were so excited to get the bid to bring it back for 5 more years. So, and that really happened through a lot of people, and we had to give hats off to Jim Flynn and IHSA and Steve Corey and the folks here in town who made that happen, and really work each year to make this the best event that we can possibly be, because you know, for some of these kids, this may be the experience of a lifetime. So we want to make it a first-rate experience.
Thanks, Vernette.
All right, thanks, Kurt.
All right, Vernette House-Browning of the March Madness Experience Committee, which has done a great job in planning this event. The Jesse White Tumblers are entertaining us at halftime. Let's peek in and see what kind of performance they're putting on. All right, the Jesse White Tumblers continue to entertain. The first half very entertaining on the floor. Columbia 37 and Westmont 37. We'll be back with more of halftime after these messages from your local stations.
Welcome back to the Peoria Civic Center, built in 1982, and of course the host of this basketball madness since 1996. what a game we have at halftime. 37-37 between Columbia and Westmont. And of course, I'm Jamal Brecht. That guy, you know, Doug Altenberger, and you couldn't ask for a better game. That's all there is to it. And you know what I love about this tournament? I love it when a little guy can come off the bench. Everybody else is talking about everybody else, but a little guy named Scott Harris can come off, bury 2 threes, and suddenly his team's back in.
Yeah, I mean, he really, Reed really struggled out there, but he stepped in off the bench, hit 2 huge threes, put him back in the game.
Let's take a look at the numbers right now. They add up to 37-37, but you're going to see some great free throw shooting. At least nobody's missing. They haven't been to the line that much, but good field goal shooting as well, 55% to 50%. That's anybody's ball game. That's why we are where we are.
And the key there is rebounds. You see Columbia 15-8 over Westmont. That's been their strength. Turnovers, you would think that 9 is a lot, but that's not a lot against Westmont's pressure.
The leading scorers in this game, as you might suspect, Pierre Pierce has 22, but he's getting help from Stedman, who got most of those in the first quarter, and Vervac, who also had a pretty good first quarter. Columbia is mixing it up. Of course, Mr. Miller, it looks like Mueller, but I asked the man, and when you're 6'8", 225, I honor your request. Of course, Mr. Miller is leading the way there, and they've got to get it to him in the second half.
Well, the thing about Pierce is, can he maintain this level offensively in the second half, and can the consistency of Columbia overcome that? That's going to be the key going in here to the second half.
And of course, we've got the highlights coming up, or should we say the human highlights, after these local messages. You can see why the house is full and why the house is rocking, because a lot of people came to see a great basketball game and a great basketball player by the name of Pierre Pierce. And when we look at these highlights, you're going to see, as I alluded to before the break, a human highlight. The thing about Pierce is he makes it look so effortless.
Well, and he does. There you see the great anticipation, reverses the basketball. He starts it off in transition. Stedman finishes it off. And, you know, Stedman really stepped up, and offensively there he shoots that. I mean, that's literally from 30 feet. He nails that three-point line. I mean, good defense. And then he steps back again, and you can't relax. You can't give him space, Jim. If he does, then you see again Stedman very active on the. They've got that two-man game going in the first half.
And of course, Columbia fought back from a 10-point deficit. Here's one of the guys who helped them.
Yeah,
Neil Regan with a great move.
He did a great move, and they hit the threes from the outside, and Miller was very active on the inside, did a good job. And Reed Jones really didn't get much going on, but he still played well defensively. Didn't let his struggles offensively hurt him defensively.
And of course, when we were setting up this game, you know, a lot of people would like to make it simple and say, well, it's a one guy against one team. And you can tell that Columbia is here for a reason. They know how to spread it around. If one of their players like Reed Jones gets cold, hey, they got somebody else to go to. But again, I think the key in the second half, can Westmont keep it away from Miller, because he controls the game inside. And if he can get his hands on the basketball enough in the second half, that could be what Columbia needs.
Well, and that's been really the concern for Westmont, is trying to force turnovers, don't allow Columbia to get set offensively and get the ball inside, because when they do a lot of damage. So it's important for Westmont really to, you know, to extend their defense.
And of course, if you're looking, and you will be in the second half, at number 3, Pierre Pierce, you might say, well, hey, okay, he's got great skills, God-given talent. But if you talk to his coach, Craig Etheridge, he says he has never seen a more competitive person in his life, and he basically is his coach out on the floor, and he doesn't trash his teammates. He just goes up and tells them, here's where we're going to be next. This is what we need to do. Let's go back out to the court side where Kurt Pegler is standing by. Kurt.
All right, Jim, Craig Etheridge, the head coach of Westmont's with us. Fast and furious pace. That's the way you like it, though, huh?
Yeah, we're pretty comfortable at the tempo of the game right now. You know, it's been a great basketball game on both ends. So hopefully, you know, we hit a few more shots this half than they do so we can enjoy the victory.
What's going to be the difference here in the second half?
Well, we talked a lot about defense in the second half. We've got to try to figure out some way to stop their big kid. We started doubling down so much that we opened up a couple threes for them. We got to find a good balance if we're going to be successful.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, we're tied at 37. What a second half we anticipate coming up next. Stay tuned. Don't go anyplace. Westmont 37 and Columbia 37. And we toss it now for this network break.
Well, we played 16 minutes. Will 16 more be enough? Looks like one of those games where it might not be, but who knows. 37-37 is our score, and Columbia is out on the court first. And there, of course, you see David Touche in his 4th year, 90 and 35. You look at the combined records of all 8 coaches here at the Elite 8 for the year. 214 and 36 and 85% winning record, so there's no flukes here.
Yeah, it takes a lot of hard work and desire to get to play here and in March. I mean, both these teams know that, and that they've come out here really very confident offensively.
Westmont working first with the basketball. Pierre Pierce with 22 first half points has it and gets it inside to Stedman. Yep. I like the way Stedman uses his body.
Yeah, I mean, he's only about 6'3", 6'4", but he plays more like about 6'6", 6'7", and like you said right there, did a nice job spacing-wise. Very good. Great anticipation by Pierce.
Pierce knocked it away. That's 10 turnovers now for Columbia. Pierce wants it all and gets it.
I mean, right there, I mean, he was just, could do anything. Could have pulled up, took it to the hole. I mean, just right now, I mean, he just doesn't think anybody can stop him offensively.
Of course, we talk about getting the ball inside to Miller. And Craig Etheridge was concerned about that as coach of Westmont. Jones will force things, and again, it's Pierce with the quick hands coming the other way. Look out, he's looking across court. To Verbeck, count him up. And just like that, Westmont regains control of the momentum.
Well, Westmont came out at the beginning of the game very explosive defensively, forced a lot of turnovers, moved the ball up and down the court, and that's what they're trying to do here in the second half.
And right away, Columbia wants to talk it over. David Touche is going to talk it over while we hear these local messages.
Collinsville back to ball control. We're in the final minute, 50 seconds to go.
That's the Collinsville crowd, Jack. They can sense a state tournament in the offing, a championship.
There's our first score of the day in the first quarterfinal game. Prairie Central really just got blown out in the second half. Never could find their groove, 71-44. Pinckneyville, of course, with Coach Dick Korn trying to win his second state championship. Right now at the half, we're at 37-37. And, of course, in that old footage, which we'll be bringing you all weekend long, you saw a couple of high school powers, Quincy and Collinsville. Tonight, of course, we feature Pana versus Farmington. And on hand will be Lee Hall and Matt Taphorn to bring you that. And then Doug Altenberger and I will be back for Macomb and Bureau Valley, the #2 rated and the highest rated team in the Elite 8. There you get a good shot of Jason Vervac. And just like that, a quick 7 gives Westmont control, 44-37. There's their head coach, Craig Etheridge.
A good idea by Westmont to come out, put a little pressure defensively. Full court press.
Open on the wing. He can't do it again, can he? No, he did not. Scott Harris made his first 2 threes, and of course, when you're hot, go for it. But that one was a little too long.
And they need those shots to go down. Columbia, someone's got to step up. Miller can't do it all on his own. It's not like Westmont. He doesn't have the ability like Pierce does to carry the whole team.
And of course, when they pack it back in on Miller, you got to bury it. Otherwise, your inside-outside game will never come to fruition. 6:20 remaining here in the third quarter. You're looking at the guy who will be playing for Iowa, Pierre Pierce. There's Stedman with the basketball. They're not a deep team, but I guess when you have a Pierce, you don't have to be deep.
Yeah, you can rest a lot when you got a guy like him on the floor. Let him do all the work.
Ooh, Stedman had to take it away and got it right back. And now he'll go baseline and get fouled. Or will they call traveling on him? It's a turnover against Westmont.
Well, Coach Etheridge is saying that there were some touches there. He didn't think there would be traveling.
Boy, look at that pinch defense in the corner. That's not where you want to be if you're a little guy, but he gets it out of there. They need this one. In and out, no good. Rebound high is Pierre Pierce. Reed Jones could not get it to fall. And they've gone this third quarter without one of those. A basket. 3 for Pierce.
Yeah, nice screen by Jody Urbis, who comes across, and Pierce again dribbling with his head up, always looking. And he's got 27 points here already.
There's a pass that gets away. Look at this athletic ability by Pierce. Goes across the court, but it's not out of bounds, and then saved by Columbia. Oh, they say that Columbia went out of bounds as Scott Harris gave it a good effort, but couldn't keep the feet in before sliding out.
Yeah.
Of course, turnovers are piling up for Columbia, but still not that bad. If they can keep it down underneath 15, they'll be all right.
Yeah, but 3 turnovers already here in the third quarter for Columbia, and they've all been pretty costly.
Vervac in and out. Miller with a rebound. Miller, who averages 10 rebounds a contest, says, get me the ball. Just get me the ball. And he's triple teamed. And it gets taken away by Pierce. And Pierce has it taken away by Steckmesser. And Pierce will pick up the foul. You don't see that too often.
No, you don't. I mean, as active as he is, he really doesn't get in foul trouble very much. And again, that's really, even though he looks for the steal, he plays very disciplined. And I think that's a key for if you're a young player out there. You can't play out of control even at this level.
Steckmesser is now 3 of 3 from the line. Now, you mentioned foul trouble. Of course, Pierce had 4 fouls with 7 minutes left in regulation in that super sectional game against, I should say, sectional championship game against Providence St. Mel. All he did was score 11 of the last 12 points and then 5 more in OT, and that's one of the reasons why they're here.
Makes it look so easy out there.
Vervac for 3. Nope. Miller says that's all mine.
Yeah, Jim, it looks like your wedge shot. That thing's so high.
Let's not bring up bad things right now. 4:33 remaining in the third quarter. Jim Albrecht and Doug Altenberger bringing you the second quarterfinal game to see who plays Pinckneyville. Will it be the comebackers in blue? They've come back before. They're going to need another one. That's money. Miller to the hole. Once he got it.
Well, you don't want to sell out like that. Get behind him, make him shoot over the top, get some help from the perimeter. And so far here in the third quarter, Westmont's done that. They've taken Coach Etheridge's adjustments in halftime.
It's kind of an important trip down the court, don't you think? I mean, they've cut it. They've scored the last 4 points, cut the 10-point lead to 6. Now, if they can get back down again without any further damage, they'll start feeling the momentum. But Vervac is wide open for the 16-footer. Doesn't get it, but gets his own rebound. That hurts.
Yeah, long rebound. Have those guards pick up.
Feed to Pierce. Count it.
I mean, you talk about a guy that is a point guard. There he gives an example, Jim, of moving without the basketball. Goes back door. Good look.
Pierce now with 29. The Elite Eight record for individual points is 51. Here is the shot up and in. Nicely done by Neil Rieken.
Yeah, Jim, like you said, when Columbia gets the ball inside, good things are happening, but it's very difficult for him to do that.
Pressure out front. Miller applying it, but Pierce comes and helps out. Shut off along the baseline, so he'll kick it back out to his scoring mate, Stedman. He says, okay, I'll take it, but doesn't get it. Miller has the rebound.
Well, he has a weird rotation on that. Looks like the Earth orbiting. It spirals sideways.
Lead is 6, but Columbia could cut it with Harris. He does again. Scott Harris, 3 out of 4 from beyond the arc.
Well, Jim, just like you said, it looks like Westmont is going to gain control of this game, get a nice lead, and Columbia comes storming back.
They've been down by 10 twice in this game, and both times they just keep whittling away. 2:30 remaining in the third quarter. A lot of emotion in this game, not only on the floor, but in the stands with the moms and dads and the friends. I shared an elevator with a lady from Pinckneyville this morning, and I tell you, she looked like a walking poster for Prozac. She needed to slow down.
Well, like Jim, like you said, there's a lot of families invest a lot of time in their kids.
Yeah.
They get in that minivan. There you see Coach Etheridge. And when all of a sudden everything comes to a focal point right now, all of their hard work pays off. And these guys don't want to finish right now. They want to keep going.
And, of course, last year, Westmont rattled off 28 straight wins before getting shot down on a cold night by Kankakee McNamara in the Super Sectional, and so they don't want to end their quest here.
Now, both, like you said, both teams really expected to be here last year and didn't make it.
Which proves for motivation. Pierce behind the back. Stedman controlled it. It's knocked away, and Columbia comes out of there with it.
Behind the back, he wasn't even ready for it. What a pass.
Rieken in a hurry, throws it up, doesn't get it, gets his own rebound back. He's going to have to go right back up and doesn't get it. A big trip down for Columbia, but nothing to show for it. Pierce, look at that pass. Stedman finishes it off.
Yeah, Miller right now looks a little tired out there. It wasn't in the paint area on the last shot. Slow to get down there. That's why Stedman was able to operate in the paint area. Big man's got to get in the middle.
Westmont's lead back to 5, knocked out of bounds off the body of Pierce. There you see a good shot at David Touche. He said, of course, Columbia is the kind of team that every coach would like to have because he can't keep them out of the gym. I mean, you know, if they could get some keys made, they'd have them. Down to Miller. Miller with that body control will be fouled. TJ Frawley will pick up the personal, and no team in foul trouble here in the third period with only 1:09 remaining. That foul correction was on Del Preto, wearing number 11 in there, Michael Del Preto. Columbia looking for a dagger here. Harris shut off, gets it inside to Miller. They'll rotate it around. That's where they want it, and it's good. Neil Rieken finishes it off. Good rotation, and it's down to a 3-point game.
Yeah, key there, Jim. Ball goes inside to Miller, gets the open by, they reverse it. Again, when he touches it, they've got to make adjustments, and that's when Columbia is successful.
Of course, at the end of the second period, Westmont held on to it with that man holding on until the final second. He misfired a three-pointer. Look at this. Can you get into the corner any further than that?
Well, he needs to start the offense with about 13 seconds to go. That way, if he misses a shot, they're able to put it back in. Last time he started a little too late.
He could be the first guy in the locker room from that position.
Yeah, right now he needs to start. Create something, go to the hole.
There it is. Glass. In a hurry. Jones on the runner. Ooh, didn't go. Almost got it to fall. Columbia will head to the huddle down by 5, 53-48. We're back with the fourth quarter after these local messages. There's still a long way to go. 2 more quarterfinal games tonight, and then, of course, the semifinals start tomorrow morning at 11:15. That's about the time you usually get up, isn't it, Doug?
Not with 3 kids, you don't.
I hear that. And, of course, it'll end with a championship game tomorrow night. We'll also see the King of the Hill, the 3-point contest, which is always pretty exciting, and the slam dunk contest. And March Madness isn't over until the boys in 2A say it is, and we'll kick it off right here in Peoria at the Peoria Civic Center next Friday at noon. And we want you to follow it all right here on the IHSA TV network. That was quite the shot at the end of the third period by Mr. Pierce. But it's not your usual high school shot. Inside, not there by Rican, but he gets it right back. And now they're going to call him for traveling. I thought he might have earned himself a trip to the free throw line, and so did he.
Yeah, that was a tough call right there.
14 turnovers now for Columbia. And I'm sure their head coach, David Touche, would be fine if it ended with 14 turnovers in the game. They don't need to give it back to Westmont in any fashion right now. See how Westmont controls the tempo when they're up. It's Pierce stepping in, and he'll be fouled.
Jim, one of the things that we talked about in the open was, this guy's going to get his points, no question about it, but you've got to contain him. Well, he's 12 for 19. I mean, if he's going to get his shots, but you can't let him shoot a high percentage. If he was maybe like 8 for 19 or 6 for 19, it would be okay. Right now, he's very efficient out there, and he is scoring at will. And Rican is really having a hard time matching up with him.
And, of course, he hits the books as well as he hits the lanes. Has a part-time job and headed to Iowa City, where Steve Alford says, if you work at it, you could be my starting point guard.
Well, he's got a dandy right now in Oliver, and he is a senior guy who's graduating, so he's got some big shoes to fill.
Pierce got nabbed for the personal there. Let's reset the situation. There's 7 minutes, 24 seconds remaining in this second quarterfinal game. Pinckneyville has won against Prairie Central, and whoever wins this, and right now Westmont up by 7, will take on Dick Corn and Pinckneyville tomorrow. Reed Jones just really has not gotten on track in this ball game. There's the skip pass to Jones, and skip it right back. Harris can't hit this one. Look at that clear out under the boards. All alone is Stedman, and he lost the handle. Ho, ho, ho. I think he was caught in between, should I dunk or lay it in?
Yeah, I think he was caught in between showtime right there. You got to take it up, grab it with 2 hands and finish it off.
Craig Etheridge just kind of looked up at the ceiling and said, well, okay, I'll look at the positive here. We're up by 7. Rican with the drive, and we've got a foul inside. Let's see who they called it on. TJ Frawley. They need that. do not get it. They do not get it. Reed Jones just can't find his shooting groove and his shooting touch. And walking up the floor is Pierre Pierce with 33 points, 5 of 8 from the three-point line, and 4 of 4 from the free throw line. Pretty complete game. Look at this floater. In and out, back in again.
I mean, there was blue jerseys everywhere. He just, a white one rose among them and put it in.
And he is at his season average of 35 points a game. And right now, Columbia cannot get any further behind. And here's a pass inside. It's taken away on the floor. Wild scramble. Miller lost it. T.J. Frawley with great hustle.
Yeah, great hustle by Frawley. I mean, he dove to the floor, wanted it more than Miller. And he gets the jump ball and gets the arrow going his way.
And Frawley, all of 155, going against a 225-pounder on the floor. That's what this tournament is all about. You don't size up things, you just go for it. They try to pinch Pierre Pierce out front, but that's kind of useless at this point. And everybody wants to know if one guy can lead a Class A team to a state championship. Well, it's happened twice before. Everybody remembers Marty Simmons, Jay Scheidler from Lawrenceville. And here is a steal out front by Columbia. Good pressure that time. Ooh, Harris thought about it. Now he'll think about it again. Instead, he says, I'll go to the big man.
Well, that's the first time. He's only had 2 looks, 2 shots here in the second half. Miller has. And that's the first time really where Westmont didn't collapse defensively, got spread out.
Here's contact and a charge. T.J. Frawley got called for the charge, and just like that, Columbia has a chance to cut it from 9 down to 5.
Boy, good. And Reed Jones steps up, takes the charge, struggling offensively, but defensively still giving you that A effort.
Jody Urbis checks back in for Mr. Frawley. On that last trip down, Miller hit his 14th point. He averages 17 a game. And they're going to look for him again. Triple team. And good hustle there by Reed Jones. Just testing the perimeter. They're trying to open up Jones from the outside, but, well, here he is. And there it is.
See, that it's there because they're collapsing on Miller, and Jones is wide open. He's got to step up.
Stedman the other way.
Boy, they really moved the ball down, up and down, and you got to get back defensively. Stedman really extending the defense. Oh,
again, Reed Jones with 2 in a row, and we've got a timeout. Westmont, because the lead, which was 10, is back to 3. In favor of Westmont, and of course you can see the reaction there by the people clad in blue rooting for their Columbia Eagles. Columbia, only a town of 5,500. And let's take a look at some of these bombs, Doug Altenberger.
Well, we talked about Reed Jones, 2 for 9 so far in the game, really struggling offensively, but when you've got a shooter, he always believes eventually going to go in there. That's an NBA three-pointer. He goes out nothing but the bottom of the net, and when you're a shooter like him, you got to have that confidence, Jim. Got to believe in yourself that you're going to make those shots.
As they break the huddle, we see our Midwest Dairy Association Local Dairy Farmer Scholar Athlete Award. It goes to young Nick from Westmont. We haven't seen him in action tonight, but he certainly probably is better in the classroom than I was.
Oh, 4.2. I never even saw anything like that.
That wasn't even my scoring average, for crying out loud. Oh, almost a steal out front by Jones, but Pierce picks it up. He'll hang, go for the glass, got it.
Well, he takes control. You expect senior leadership to do that. He's the man on the floor.
Well, let's see if Reed Jones has 3 in a row in him. They'll skip it back out to him. There he is, but this time Stedman jumps out. They get it down low, but the pass was too high, intended for Steckmesser, and away comes Columbia, and that's a bad pass. When you're up by 5, you don't want to go that way. We pause with Westmont up by 5 on the IHSA TV network. This IHSA broadcast is brought to you by Country Insurance. Real people, real answers, real quick. And by the Midwest Dairy Association on behalf of your local dairy farmer. Say it with me. Say it with me, Doug. Ah! The power of cheese.
Yeah, we talked about Pierce. You know, here's the guy. He's the senior. He's the leader. Get the ball in his hands. Let him take care of business. And there he just finishes it off. And he came back after that timeout and he looked at his coach and said, hey, you know, I got to take control of this game right now.
There's only one way to defend that, and I would classify that as an act of God. I mean, his acceleration is so good, and his concentration is so good from every angle that he makes it look easy. But again, folks, this is a young man who has worked and worked and worked. And yes, he has some ability, but they say that he is able to jump even higher this year than he was last year because of the way he works out and because he lives in the gym.
Well, he's going to put about 20, 30 more pounds on him, and when he does that, gets a little more strength on him, he's going to be dangerous, even more so than he is now, which is scary.
Nitty-gritty time for Columbia and, of course, Westmont. Columbia with the basketball, trailing 61-56, 3:40 remaining in the game. Nobody wants to leave down here on Friday. Miller inside. Count that up.
See, Reed Jones and Miller need to be on the same side of the court. When they do that, someone's got to sell out. Either Reed Jones could hit the J from three-point land or Miller's wide open in the middle.
Miller was 16. His team trails by 3. Will they count on Pierce again? Vervaek's a good ball handler. Doesn't get a lot of attention on this team with a superstar on it, but they all know their roles, and they've been playing together for so long. They don't mind at all as long as the W goes up.
Got to be careful if you're Westmont. Don't want to get too passive offensively. Still look to create. Go to the floor. Go to the hole, I mean.
Wide open, but that's not his shot. Ladizinski. Stedman had it loose on the floor. Somehow saved it. Out to Vervaek. Boy, that was almost a turnover.
Right now, Stedman coming up a little gingerly on that bad ankle he's got.
He missed 10 games in the season with that bad ankle, and now Pierce will be fouled out front, and that's all you can do if you're Reed Jones. That's team foul number 4 on Columbia. And right now, the moms, the dads, the coaches, they're all, they wish they could do something, but they can't. Only the players can do it. Pierce trying to go back door, gets it done, but that won't count. That won't count because the foul, and a wise foul it was before the shot by Rican. Did you see that move?
Well, Rican's got to be a little smarter than that. You got to, let him throw that cross-court pass. They threw the hesitation. He goes back door. Don't let him get behind you. He's good enough in front of you. Once you lose a side of him, then he's even more dangerous.
That looked like a wideout with the stop-and-go pattern, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. I mean, that
he
just
takes the baseline.
I mean, that's just amazing.
But a rebound by Rican, and here comes Columbia with a chance to tie it up with a 3.
Again, right now it's critical that they get Miller and Jones on the same end.
There's Miller. He has it taken away, but it's gathered in nicely by Steckmesser. And now a foul out front on Vervaek, and he knew it. And Miller got in some trouble there, and Pierce almost got the turnover, but good hustle by the Columbia Eagles, who, of course, play in the Cahokia Conference. You can probably hear the coaching staff from Westmont yelling right in our ears. Almost down to 2 minutes. Can Reed Jones light it up? Will they pound it inside? Will they be able to? Here's Jones getting it over to his man Miller, but ooh, he almost lost that thing out of bounds. Well, he's working hard for the ball now, isn't he, Miller? Surrounded by 2 Westmont Sentinels. They're taking their time, and that's what they should do until they get the open shot. Here it is, out front, not there. Rebound fought for Westmont. Controls.
Good defense by Westmont. Really disciplined defense. We never allowed really Miller to get a good look, and we need to get the ball. Good collapsing defense.
Jody Urbis came away with that all-important board, and now Pierce can put a dagger in Columbia's heart. He'll work alone, down the lane, loses the handle. Whose ball is it? Columbia's.
Well, Westmont, they were looking for a foul, didn't get it. Got to take care of that basketball. Good defense by Harris.
So it's deja vu all over again for Columbia. They have the same situation on this trip down court that they had the last time. They can ill afford to come away empty. Vervac with almost a great steal. But Harris hustles after it. Harris has 3 3-pointers in this game.
Right now, Westmont switched to a man-to-man. They were playing zone, confused Columbia.
You see the time in the lower right corner of your TV screen. Man, take a deep breath, folks.
Columbia really trying to get that ball inside and just having a hard time of doing it.
Yeah, Pierce jumped out, and now it's the 3. It's the 3 by Reed Jones to tie it with 61 on the board and 23 seconds remaining. How did he make that shot?
Well, right now, Columbia's got to try to not let this guy win the game. You got to throw 2 guys at him. Let somebody else win the game, not this guy.
Neil Reekin is on him out front, but he'll get help in a hurry. There comes the 2 guys, and now we've got a foul out front. Eric Steckmesser came up and got a hand in there, and that was a very light tap.
Well, it was a good foul because they had one to give, and he knew that.
That's why they did it, just to take some time off. We're coming back with the final 7 seconds after this on the IHSA TV network. Don't you go away. I mentioned at the half that 32 minutes might not be enough, and we're about 6.8 seconds away from that very scenario. We are tied at 61. What a shot by Reed Jones. There you see the foul situation. Timeouts, 2 apiece. Arrow pointing in Columbia's favor, but in the favor of Westmont is 6'4", 160-pound senior by the name of Pierre Pierce, who will have the ball when we rejoin action.
And why do you get this feeling that he's going to, get the ball somehow and somehow going to make the shot? I don't know how they're going to quite do this, but it's important for Columbia to try to not allow him to get the ball, let maybe someone else. And don't forget, if you're Westmont, Stedman. I mean, he's a guy that has played the whole game and hasn't turned his ankle a little bit here in the 4th quarter, but has been sort of the quiet man. But he has the ability to step up and hit that big shot.
And it's very tough to defend Pierre Pierce in a normal situation, but with 6 seconds left to go, you don't want to send a 71% free throw shooter to the line with hardly any time left, but you gotta play the D.
Yeah, you've got to really... Reiken's got to do a great job of sealing him defensively. Looks like they're coming in to play a zone.
And a timeout, Columbia. Coach David Touche just wanted to see what they were going to set up, and he'll burn a timeout. And that's not a bad deal at all. And so that will force Craig Etheridge to maybe go back to his playbook and see if he wants to run something else.
Yeah, it's like a game of chess right now going on, and he wanted to come out and see what kind of look they had. And one key, though, for these guys is for Columbia is that since it's out of bounds play, they can maybe throw 1 or 2 guys, take off the ball, not let Pierce get the ball, maybe get somebody else. And then by the time he gets it, there's going to be too much time to roll off the clock. So maybe look for Westmont to run a play to Stedman.
Let's take a look at the Scholar Athlete while we have a second here to catch my for Columbia. You've seen him in action all afternoon. Eric Steckmesser ranks number 5 in his class, and of course amongst the top 5 on the basketball court for Coach David Touche. If you're looking at the point totals and wondering who will get this shot, of course the entire house, of course, is thinking that Mr. Pierce will get it. Of course, we want to thank the Milk Association and the producers, and of course that Power of Cheese for the student athlete mention. But Mr. Stedman and Mr. Pierce have combined for 51 of the 61 points here this afternoon for Westmont. So you would think, but of course you've been in this game for a long time, Doug Altenberger. You've seen stranger things happen.
Yeah, you sure have. And look for Jason Vervac. I mean, he's a guy that hit some big shots in the first half, and he can nail the outside jumper.
They're going to try to free up Pierce, but he's not there. He's not there, and the ball is tipped out of bounds. Neil Reekin tipped it out. And that took a few ticks off. It's now 6.3 seconds remaining. It was 6.7. They get the ball to Pierce. Pierce runs into traffic, throws it up. It's not there. Rebound belongs to Columbia. And they tried to call timeout, but I don't think they got it. They did not. They did not. And we are headed to our first OT of this state tournament. We'll come back after this from your local messages. Let's go back to the final 6.3 seconds of overtime. They tried to get the ball into the hands of Mr. Pierce, and they did. Some contact, but a great no call.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good no call. I mean, a little contact. He initiated it. He gets the ball. I mean, Westmont's got to be happy. That's who they wanted him to shoot the last shot. Had a pretty good look. You know, finally showed that he was human, and he missed a shot that was a little difficult out there. And I think everybody was sort of in shock that he missed it.
One of the Eagles tried to call timeout away from the basketball, and he wasn't close to an official, so he couldn't get it done. There would have been less than 2 seconds left anyway, so it would have been a prayer as far as a setup play. But right now, we have a fresh 4 minutes on the OT clock, and we're ready to rock and roll in overtime between Westmont and Columbia. What a basketball game as advertised. Greg Etheridge, the coach for Westmont, says run the offense. Very important possession, this first possession in OT, because the noose starts to tighten when you get behind in overtime. Pierce, forcing matters, elevates, and he'll be okay, and he'll go to the free throw line.
Yeah, Columbia comes out with Scott Harris. He comes in, tries to harass him, use his speed and quickness. Then they'll throw Riken, who's in foul trouble with 4 fouls. They'll come over and double team. But even 2 guys can't slow this guy down right now. Well, he's got good rotation. You want to be a good free throw shooter, just look at that nice tight rotation, and does the same thing every time. Couple dribbles and boom, goes right up.
What happened to the art of the free throw shooting?
Well,
was it the human highlight film that everybody watched every night and said that's how I'm going to get on ESPN?
Yeah, I think, yeah, let's ESPN, that's television. We can always blame everything back to that.
In a hurry. Kicking it back out. Westmont with those 2 free throws from Pierce. Nobody on Westmont in any foul trouble, but as Doug mentioned, Riken, who's taking the shot and not getting it, has 4, and that's why he couldn't follow that shot. Pierce will take his time, pull up, and not get it. So a gift in a way as Miller comes away with a rebound.
Yeah, when he gets in that open court, he's usually pretty deadly. There's one of the rare misses. And I'd really like to see Reed Jones and the big guy Miller on the same side of the court. When they do that, they're not really to make those adjustments, and that allows Reed Jones to get open.
Reed Jones penetrates, gets it over to Miller, off the glass, good, and it'll count. It'll count.
See, those 2 guys have the ability to create, and offensively know they're the go-to guys. In Miller, they give that 2-man game. He goes up, rolls to the hoop, and able to finish it off, the big fella. That's only his 3rd shot here in the second half and here in the overtime.
He has 18, and the game remains tied as Pierce goes up and picks that thing off the rim. We mentioned Riken with 4. Steckmesser also has 4 for Columbia. 2.5 minutes remaining in this, the first overtime, and I repeat, the first.
Look at Harris. I mean, he might be only 5'10", but he is giving it everything he's got against Pierce right now.
And Pierce goes back out and gets the ball. You're right about that. That's hard work right there. Pierce is going to be going to the free throw line. That shot won't count. That shot won't count. Contact was made well before he threw it up, but it shows you just how athletic he is.
Well, Pierce recognizes he's got a smaller guy on, so what is he going to do? I'm going to put it on the floor. You know, smart ball player right here. Riken comes over a little too late, draws the foul. That should be his 5th, but they give it to Harris instead. And Columbia very fortunate.
These 2 teams have missed but 1 free throw the entire game, and that was the one that could have given the lead to Columbia from Brent Miller.
They should make a copy of this film and send it to the Shack. I mean, just to make him feel.
Well, we're not talking the Love Shack either, folks. Pierre Pierce with 2 more. That gives him 41 on the contest. His season high, 52. Columbia working. They still have plenty of clock left. 2:10 remaining. We're in the overtime. Westmont leading by 2. There's their man, Jones. Nope. Fought for a big rebound battle, and coming away with it is Columbia, thanks to Miller. Can Riken hit it? No. That would have been a big bucket for Columbia. And Riken is not their 3-point shooter, only 19 of 42 on the year, but he saw the opportunity, just came up short.
Yeah, Coach Etheridge looked at Pierre Pierce and said, slow it down, let's take our time. And that's what you want. You want from your senior. Look over that bench. What do you want me to do, Coach?
And Pierce is claiming that Harris is fouling him out front. He's going to have to get used to that in the Big Ten. Let me tell you, there's going to be some body talk there.
Well, it's like David and Goliath going on right there. I mean, he's giving everything he can. Harris is.
And a timeout. Stedman found himself in a bad situation, so he knew he had a timeout to burn. And he does. We're coming back with the rest of this OT. Westmont in front by a bucket after these local messages. We've been talking about how important free throws are, and we are verging on an accuracy record from 15 feet out on that. You know, they call it free for a reason, don't they, Doug? It's a free shot. And if you can make it, you can make your opponents pay, especially down here at State. And right now, Westmont is 9 of 9 from the free throw line. Columbia just not getting to the line very often, but they're 4 of 5. So we've had only one missed free throw in this game, and I can't tell you how important another one might be for either of these teams with 1:18 remaining here in the first overtime. Live from the Peoria Civic Center, I'm Jim Albrecht, along with Doug Altenberger, the former Illini guard. Westmont has the lead, the ball, and the man to have the ball, Pierre Pierce. And look at this D put on by Scott Harris. He'll just stay all over Pierce. He's like the fly at the family picnic that won't get out the meatloaf, man. You shoo him away, but he comes right back. And here's a foul away from the ball, and that's not a bad idea because Jody Urbis will be going to the free throw line, and he is only a 50% free throw shooter.
If you're Touche, good job, team. I mean, that's what you want to do. Don't put Pierce on the free throw line. Get somebody else so they get a 50% free throw shooter. So they did what he wanted to do in the timeout. Got one of the worst guys up there on the line to shoot the free throw.
If he hits it, he'll tie the Class A record at 10 for 10, and he does. That record was set by Rock Island Allman against Shelbyville in the championship game, and actually the semifinal game in 1995, and now he's going for the team free throw record. No.
You gave him a play-by-play curse.
I did, but I didn't mean to. 66-63. Do they need to go for a three, Doug?
No, not at all. They've got enough time here. Get a good shot. Get in the big fella.
Ball was kicked out front by Pierce, so they'll restart it over on the sideline with 47 seconds remaining. What a game this has been. That man right there, you see, has 41 points. Pierre Pierce. If you're a Big Ten fan and you're not an Iowa Hawkeye fan, you're going to get awful sick of looking at him.
Yeah, you sure are. I mean, he could play right now at Iowa. No question.
Bodies are flying, but no call there. 35 seconds remaining. They're going to try to dump it into Miller. Miller came way up top that time, and he's not a three-point shooter.
He needs to get inside. That's not where his strength is out there behind the line. The
skip pass, the three, no, the rebound. Westmont, what's the call? Traveling against Westmont. Jody Urbis did a great job, but he couldn't get his feet down, and we've got a timeout. Columbia, as they'll try to set up what pretty much has to be a three-point play at this point.
Well, Touche understands that they didn't run what they wanted to. Miller was out 25 feet behind the three-point line.
We're back with the final seconds. Don't go away after this on the IHSA TV network. Here's what our director Frank Vance has for you tonight on the docket. Pana versus Farmington. Join Lee Hall and Matt Taphorn for that one in our third quarterfinal game. And then it's Macomb against Manlius Bureau Valley. Bureau Valley, with only one loss all year, comes in rated number 2 in the state. That one should be good as well, because Macomb, of course, is the giant killer. They knocked off number 1 to, as I said earlier, open this tournament wide up.
Well, I look for Columbia to go inside real quick. If they do, you know, to Miller, then shoot that. If not, then, like you said, Jim, look for Reed Jones on the outside, paroling, looking for that three-point shot behind the line.
And Westmont, should they win this game, the reason why they will is because they've done such a great job on the big man for Columbia. Miller with only 3 shot attempts in this entire second half in the overtime. He's done well with what he's had, 9 of 12 for 18 points. But
good adjustments at halftime by Coach Etheridge. He really did a nice job of, you know, sealing off to the inside and not allowing Miller to get that space.
Reed Jones will inbound and then go over to the left side of the basket and try to get open. Harris is being dogged out front by Stedman. Stedman falls down. Harris is open for just a second. Inside to the big man, and it's knocked out of bounds by Jody Urbis.
Boy, Urbis really, again, he's a guy giving up about 30, 40 pounds and about 4 or 5 inches, but he really competing on the inside.
Urbis at 6'5" and Miller at 6'8", but now it's a matter of time. 8.4 seconds, and Westmont and their head coach, Craig Etheridge, wants a timeout. Now, what's he going to try to set up, first of all? I mean, obviously, it's don't give him an easy shot, but what from there? Well,
what happened was defensively, they were disorganized. They were looking to play man-to-man. Some guys were playing zone, and he saw this. Quick, let's call a timeout. What they want to do is really, the only thing that can beat them right now is a three-point line. Right. So what you want to do is give up maybe the easy basket on the inside. Whatever you do, don't foul, don't stop the clock. But
let's dip into one of the huddles right now.
Try to make him use as much clock as possible.
There you see Craig Etheridge. Let's listen up.
No threes or reverse, cheat the reverse. And if they set up with basically a box with 14 up high, they're going to run that triple screen. They're going to throw the ball. 14's going to break in. Okay. Yeah, 12 taking it out. Okay. You got to run. Okay. Now, let's go.
There you see David Touche trying to map out what he hopes is the tying three-pointer. 66-63, and I don't know if Craig Etheridge is going to have a voice after this weekend. I know that he's going to be screaming for joy if Westmont can turn Columbia away, but what a game. You hate to see a loser in this one, but somebody's got to go home.
Both teams play with tremendous heart and desire tonight. It's just too bad someone's got to go home a loser.
Rieken and Steckmesser are not three-point shooters. Harris had the foul out front. Well, that changes things a little bit. Stedman was going for the basketball, thought he had a beat on it, but he ran into that man, Scott Harris, who has been one of the subplots of the game with 3 threes.
Well, by making that foul, what you've done now is they've extended the time, allow Columbia a little bit more time, and all of a sudden that three-point lead, you don't have to foul as quickly. Try to get a turnover real quick, but he's got to nail these free throws. Scott Harris does.
Harris hasn't been to the line that often this year, only 24 times, but as you could have seen there by that percentage, he's nailed 19 of 24, so he's a guy you want there, but the pressure's on him right now. It's in the air. It's in the net.
Yeah, and each team, I mean, everybody's stepped up, and whenever someone needed to hit a big bucket or a basket, both these teams have done it. I mean, they've played like winners. No one's come in here, sliding in here, and all of a sudden winning this game by an accident.
Again. The pressure is on. The pass is to Stedman. We've got 6 seconds remaining. Vervac is fouled by Miller. How was Vervac at the free throw line? The best man on the team, 80%.
Well, what happened was Columbia got a little confused on their full court pressure, and Stedman was wide open, allowed a little more time off the clock than Touche wanted. He wanted a quicker foul, maybe with about a couple seconds to go, but no one was around Stedman. Good idea for him to get rid of the basketball. Now he's got the best free throw shooter on the team.
Columbia still has a timeout. Vervac. No!
Got 4.8 seconds. Even if he makes this shot, Jim, you got a lot of time.
Got the second one. And here they come. This is it. Reed Jones gets it up front to Harris. Harris will fire. That's going to be way off the mark, and that's the way it ends. Harris misfired, and Westmont has come away with a thriller in OT. And the ladies love it too, 67-65. And Harris played such a great game. It was tough for him to be in a desperation position, but you got to let it fly.
I mean, just a couple more dribbles. Shot it a little too quick.
Yep.
Probably had a couple more seconds to get a better shot, but both teams just playing just tremendous today.
What a ball game. 67-65. Westmont somehow prevails and somehow is spelled P-I-E-R-C-E. Mr. Pierce with 41 and Mr. Stedman, who you see walking off the court there with 14, and there is the let's get ready for the semifinals prayer. Kurt Pegler is standing by with, I'm sure, a very happy man.
All right, fellas. Yes, a couple of very happy men here in Pierre Pierce and Craig Etheridge. Let's talk with Pierre first. A 41-point performance. You were really obviously feeling it out there. Took you to overtime, but this is going to be very rewarding to get to the semi.
Yeah, I'm proud of my teammates. You know, they stuck with it through the whole game. You know, I came out early. I felt it early. So, I mean, I got my teammates going, and we just went from there.
There were a couple times it looked like you guys were ready to hit the accelerator and give them the knockout punch, but they hung around, and it wound up going to OT.
Yeah, you know, at this point, everybody's a good team. You know, they're going to come back how they run, but we stuck with it, and we battled the whole way.
You got any gas left in the tank for tomorrow?
I got plenty of gas left.
Congratulations. Meanwhile, Craig, what do you think about that game? As we said at halftime, it was your pace. You wanted to go into this kind of a full-court game, didn't you?
Yeah, again, we were pleased with the pace, the tempo. That's what we like. Again, we were hoping we'd hit a few more shots than they would. It was a great game again, the whole game. You know, it's kind of a shame that one of us had to lose. You know, I'm pleased as can be, though. We played strong. We were in a position in each game where we had a lead. We were trying to protect it. They hit some big shots. You know, again, it was a good game on both parts.
Very rewarding for your team, I know, because last year they were so disappointed that they didn't get down here. To be tested in this first game and to get to the semis has got to be great.
Oh, yeah. You know, and again, we're playing great teams across the board now. And, you know, that's what we wanted. We want an opportunity to prove to people that we're a great team. And, you know, it's nice to win a game like this to show people that we can compete with anybody.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right, Craig Etheridge, the victorious coach of Westmont. They're headed to the semifinals to take on Pinckneyville. And that's tomorrow morning. Jim?
Even when OPEC's in a bad mood, Mr. Pierce has enough gas in his tank, I can tell you that. And he'll be back tomorrow for, of course, the semifinal. But we still have 2 more games to take care of as we look at the quarterfinal action tonight. Pana versus Farmington. We'll be here for that one at 6:30. And then, of course, Macomb versus Bureau Valley. Macomb brings in the D of the tournament, so that'll be an interesting game against the high-scoring Bureau Valley Ball Club.
Well, if any games were like today, I mean, both games, Pinckneyville really played tremendous. Both these teams played today where, I mean, like you said, you hate to have one of them go home with a loss, but both of these teams just played so well offensively.
How ironic it is to have one of the best free throw shooters in Big Ten history, and then we break a free throw record for both teams in a state quarterfinal, actually an Elite 8 game, as a matter of fact. What they did was combine for 85% from the free throw line, both these teams, and that beat the old record of 81% by Alleman, my old high school.
Well, and a lot of those free throws were made in clutch situations, going down there and end of regulation, then in overtime. So, I mean, it wasn't like they shot these things when nothing was on the line. I mean, both teams, again, it came down to that last shot where Harris almost makes that shot. Gets a couple more dribbles. Who knows if it goes down? So both teams played, you know, like just so well. It was a fun game to do and
yes,
watch.
It was. Yes, it was. And we hope to have some more tonight. Let's take a look at the shot that sent this thing into OT. And you're looking at
Reed Jones,
a great shot by Reed.
I mean, he was slow in the first half, but in the second half he picked up where Miller left off, and the senior just stepped out, hit some big shots down the stretch. But the guy that really carried him the most was Pierce. I mean, 41 points, 14 for 24, just took command of the game at all times. And just when he wasn't scoring, he was dishing it off to Stedman. And those two were just combined for, 55 points. That's pretty impressive.
And that was one of 4 assists for Mr. Pierce, who also nailed 8 of 8 from the free throw line. His 3-pointers, not too bad either, 5 of 8. So we'll see these boys and their coaches tomorrow in the semifinals. The copyright this broadcast is the exclusive property of the Illinois High School Association. Any rebroadcast or reproduction of any part of these telecasts without the express written permission of the Illinois High School Association and, of course, Doug Altenberger is strictly prohibited. What a ball game. Westmont is in against Pinckneyville. We'll be back tonight for the quarterfinals. We hope you have enjoyed a piece of the madness. From the Peoria Civic Center, we'll see you tonight, everybody. For Doug Altenberger, I'm Jim Albrecht.